Hello, hello. Welcome to Boat&Blade. I'm going to be talking about Mountain Blade, Bannerlord, game content, talking about strategies and so forth, particularly in Warsails. So let's get at it. Also, I do art and a number of other things on YouTube and create other content, so I'll put those links for other channels in the description. Check it out. So looking at the dev blog for Tail Worlds, so it shows some of the ships and exactly what their inspirations were for the ships in Warsails. They have light ships, medium ships, heavy ships. The light ships, affordable, tend to excel acceleration as well as maneuverability for flanking. However, their lower crew capacity and hit points make them easy targets when caught off guard. Their smaller size also makes them less stable in rough weather and results in fewer potential upgrades. We need to take into account these considerations when we're trying to create strategies of the best gameplay possible for Warsails. The reason you should read these is because they didn't just make this up. I mean, yes, they use historical references, but they also thought about how does this faction go against this faction? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How can we make this a well-balanced game? How can we make each faction strong in its own way? You see here we have the trade cog. Interestingly enough, this is actually a very famous type of ship. There's actually numbers of different kinds of cogs, and technically I would say basically all the Vlandian ships, including the round ship, are essentially just cogs. They're all just round ships. Cogs are just different terms used for these sorts of ships which the Vlandians use in the game. Here we see some cogs from the medieval period. Platform in the front, platform in the back, wide hulls. They're sort of rounded. They have also this plank style, which also Viking ships had, where it's layered going down. These were invented in Denmark, in Limfjord, and they were used for navigating both ocean water and rivers and shallow waters as well. So deep and shallow waters depending on the size of the ship, but they're rounded and sort of have a almost, it's not a flats boat. Like this is when I look up round ship, this is what shows up. It's basically just cogs, larger cogs. You can see some of the insides here. So they can carry a large amount of trade goods, make some great trade vessels also in the game. And they have this front and back area. You'll see is really good for missile troops as well as missile attachments to the boat, to the ship. Yeah, so they have sort of a flatter bottom than some ships, as you can see here. And this allowed them to be in different types of water, different types of ports, just be a very versatile vessel that could withstand a lot of different situations in order to travel all of Europe. And they were popularized by the Hanseatic League, the trade cities, particularly in northern Germany, as well as other trading ports throughout Europe. So these were originally trading ships, right? However, they were also used in combat in the medieval period. So this here shows warriors. They were used as a troop transport and carry a large amount of supplies as well as a large amount of troops. This is going to be very important for the Vlandian style of gameplay because the western portion of the map, they're going to have a hard time breaking through here through land. Even if you take Britannia, you have the Empire, you have Sturgir coming down, and you have the Azra coming up. So it's very hard. This area is very safe to stay defensively, but it's very hard to get out. So the only way to get out, going around and sort of flanking the rest of the map with these cog ships to transport troops to further locations and attack from new directions and also escape from new directions. These cog ships also can supply really good fire damage to the enemy. They could give some really good fire damage. Crossbowmen, both Mariner class and non-Mariner class, are very, very good. Especially they have a shield and a sword, they can get into melee combat, so that you can use them as infantry and as firepower. And those crossbows, especially at sea, do a lot of damage. So you can have your crossbowmen on these platforms, and also in the game you can add a ballista. And particularly if you get the firepop ballista, you're just doing tons of damage. And these ships really didn't really go out of popularity until the galley came around, sort of Renaissance, 1400s. Cannons and other artillery were put on these cog ships. So the idea of them being used like this in Warsails is definitely valid, and I'm sure the devs thought of this. And every cog ship or round ship in the game when you're playing as Vlandia you should try to get projectiles, and particularly anything that's explosive or fire damage, because you're going to be doing massive damage and you're going to be the best projectile ship in the game. With these platforms, it's going to be the best as a projectile navy fleet with the crossbowmen, ballista, fire pots. These platforms, the overall design of the ship, it's historically what it was used for. They fought in the medieval period. They would put the artillery in the front and shoot in the front, just like in the game. I've done some battles with the Vlandian ships versus the Dromon, and with all that firepower, you do some damage. And I'm pretty sure actually the platform on the large round ship is higher than the platform, maybe slightly higher than the platform on the front of the Dromon. And then people say, well, you don't have the battering ram on the round ships, or the Vlandian ships that you do on these other ships, especially the Dromon. But if the winds aren't in your favor, you're going to get maybe one or less times to use it, and it's not a game changer. The firepower on a ship is far more important. Yeah, also they have very high sides on the sides. This give good protection. And yeah, those overlapping planks is very interesting. If you look at the round ships, these overlapping planks, similar to typical Nord ship. I mean, these were also made in Denmark originally before becoming the common ship in a lot of the medieval world. And they use very sturdy oaks, strong ships. So these ships, I think, are going to be game changing the game, just like they were in history. So, and again, if you want to check out my other channels, other things I do, I might put links to my Instagram account as well as maybe some YouTube accounts. So if you're interested just in Warsails, follow Boat&Blade and enjoy.